Greetings, my fellow humanoid dwellers. I create videos on technology and other random things. If you like this video, you might like others. If you don't like this video, you still might like others. Consider subscribing to my channel or checking out my Patreon page. If you already subscribe, hit that bell. In this video, we're going to pick right up where the old video left off. In the last video, when we loaded the web page, it automatically went, got the data, and displayed it on the page. And if we wanted to see more data, we would just refresh the page. In this video, we're going to turn the top box into a button, and then the data will change in the lower box. If you look at the HTML file, we have two boxes, one that's a button and one that's the temps. The one we're going to be focusing on is the one that says button. When you load the HTML file, it does it in order. The first thing it does is it loads in the style sheets. Then it draws out the two sections based upon the information in the style sheets. Then it loads the JavaScript file. When it loads the JavaScript file, it goes through the JavaScript file just like the HTML. It does each one of these steps. What it doesn't do is anything within a function. The functions are called by something. So in this case, when we did the onload, as it progressed through the onload at different stages, it would run this new function. The only time we wanted this new function to actually do anything was when the data was completely ready to go. So in this example, we don't want this to happen only once. We want to be able to have it happen whenever we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up another function. We're going to go ahead and have this constant called because we do want that to happen immediately once this page is loaded. We don't want it to go and get the data until we tell it to get the data. So we're going to go ahead and create another function. We're going to call it getData. Everything that's between these curly braces is the function. Once we save this, we'll have to go ahead and go to our FTP program and upload it. Then we can go to the Windows program, and as you can see, I have it set up the way it was before. But now if we go to reload it, this box should stay empty because it's not going to run that function until it's called, and we never call it. So we'll go back to the code because this getData was never called. When the HTML file asks for this file, it does go through all these steps once. So it does create this myAjaxRequest object. What we can do, just to verify that it works the way we think it will, we can go ahead and call the getData function right here. With nothing around it, it's just going to go ahead and run this. And then this is going to run the new function. So we'll go ahead and we'll save this. We'll upload it. And now we'll go back to this page and refresh it, and we get the data just like we used to. But now what we want to do is we want to change it so when we click on this box up here, this gets loaded. So we'll go back to the code, and all you have to do that is take this ID and assign it to an event. Just like in here where we were going back to the document, the HTML document, and we were getting the element by the ID for temps, we're going to do the same thing up here. We're going to say document. We're going to get the element by its ID, and in this case it's button. Then we're going to add an event listener, and that event listener is going to be a click. And then when we click on it, the thing we're going to want to do is we're going to run the getData function. If we save this and upload it the way it is right now, it's going to go through these steps. It's going to create the object, the myAjaxRequest object, and it's going to go ahead and call the getData and do these steps, but it's also going to add this event listener to the button. It's going to go ahead and populate it once, just like it always has, and then if we click on it, it should go populate it a second time. So we upload it, and we refresh it, and you can see that the data is there. If you watch, this should flash. So it went to 21,500. We'll click it again. 21,437. If the temperature stayed the same, you may not even be able to see this change, but since it does, we can see it change. So now we're going to go back and remove that line, and you'll see what will happen is when we refresh the page, this should stay empty, and then when we click it, it'll populate. You can comment lines out in JavaScript by putting forward slashes in front of it, 2 of them. You can see that it turned green, and so now that's no longer going to be executed. Copy. And now you can see that this box is empty. When we click up here, it should populate. And it does. We're going to go back and make another change. We're going to go ahead and eliminate these first 2 lines and just show the temperature. If we open our PHP file, the PHP file is echoing those other lines. We're just going to stop that. You can use the forward slashes in these 2 to comment out lines of code. I think we're going to go ahead and add a BR tag to the end. Now we're going to go ahead and update the files again. But this time it's the PHP file that we want to update. I will go back to the browser and refresh. And click. We get 21,500. If I click again, we should get something different, 21,437. Now our next step is going to be so that we'll just, instead of overwriting it, we're going to show the data line after line. So go back to the code. And the reason we left the BR tag in is so it doesn't go next to each other. It goes on the line below. So we'll go back to the JavaScript. And the thing we're going to change is right in here. Because what we did is we set the inner HTML equal to that. So what it does is it deletes what's currently there, and it sets it equal to the response text, which is just that line. A little trick is just to add a plus sign in front of this, plus equal to. So what it's going to do is it's going to take the inner HTML and it's going to add this to what's currently there. So we'll save this. We'll upload it. Go to the browser. We'll refresh. Just like before, we get nothing. We'll click, and we get 21.5 degrees Celsius. We'll click again, and we get 21.5 degrees Celsius again. Try it again here. I'm going to go ahead and put my thumb on it to warm it up a little bit. Now we'll see what we get. Well, it went down, but it did change, and maybe I didn't hold it long enough. But you can see now that we're able to generate that temperature over and over. So in this video, what we did is we set up so that we could click something and have it run a function that then would go and collect the data and then display it in a location on the web page. We also showed how to make it so it will append to the end instead of overwriting. We did go quickly into PHP and show how we can comment things out. That's something that can come in handy if you're troubleshooting. Our next step will be to probably just to make it look a little bit better, and maybe even get it to draw a little graph using Canvas. That's about it for this video. Thanks for watching.